Hi, today I'm going to be discussing Kantian theory and the categorical imperative based off of his book Morality and Rationality. Before I dive into the categorical imperative, I'm going to give some background on Kant's theory he discusses in his book Morality and Rationality. Many theories believe religion is the fundamental to being moral. Kant, on the other hand, thought that religion and morality should not be associated, and we should determine what's right and wrong through reason and reason alone. He believed that if we used religion alone to define morality, there would be no exact definition. Basing morality off of reason gives it consistent meaning for everyone. The first half of Kantian ethics is the hypothetical imperative. This is mostly about what we ought to do for non-moral reasons. These are not about bringing good, but more about doing something because you're in favor of the outcome. Otherwise saying, if you want to get fit, then you must work out. If you want to get money, then you must work. If you want to do well, you must apply yourself. So the hypothetical imperative is something you must do to achieve a certain outcome. Now to discuss the categorical imperative. This is Kant's main focus throughout morality and rationality. The categorical imperative is defined as moral law that anyone and everyone can and must follow. Kant believed we must follow this regardless of our personal desires and based solely off of pure reason. So morality is free of feelings and desires. Now you might ask, how might we know what is right and wrong? This is based off of common knowledge that we all have. Kant believes that everybody has the knowledge to be moral and do what is right and wrong. And unlike hypothetical imperatives, categorical imperatives are not if statements. They are unconditional and definite. There are two different ways Kant says we can look at the categorical imperative. The first is the universalizability principle. He phrases this as act only in accordance to that maxim which you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law without contradiction. This can be a little confusing, so I'm going to break it down a little bit. A maxim is a rule or principle, and a universal law is something that must always be done in situations alike. When following this principle, you must ask yourself, is what I'm considering doing something that I can accept others doing in my similar situation? In other words, what you consider doing must be something you can accept if everyone else did. The universal preference must be put before your own. Imagine if your actions and what you did in a given situation is universalized, or everyone else did it. Does this have a positive or negative outcome? If the outcome is negative, it's very likely that you shouldn't do it, and it is not moral. But if it is positive, it more likely than not is moral. This is how you should determine what to do in a situation. You also could say to yourself, if I can do it, everyone else should be able to do it. So, if you're taking an action, would you be comfortable if everybody else did the same thing? Exceptions cannot be made for ourselves. The second way we can define the categorical imperative is about how we should treat others. We may call this respect for persons principle, and it states, act so that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or that of another, always as an end, and never as a mere means. Treating somebody as a means only is to use a person for your own benefit. Though we may not use people, we can use things such as inanimate objects. We all, naturally as humans, have individual value and should not use others for our personal benefit and should not let others use us. We exist for more than to be used by others. Things like lying and deceiving others, cheating, and stealing are all forms of using others for personal benefit. We should only use others when they are aware, like teachers. Teachers know you are using them to gain knowledge. Chefs know you're using them for food. Coaches know you're using them to get better. Finally, to discuss strengths and weaknesses of Kant's categorical imperatives. What I found to be the greatest positive of Kant's categorical imperative is that it has the assumption that all humans should be treated equally. Kant wants all of us to have the same definition of morality. In this case, no one is left out based on race, ethnicity, gender, or age, and there is little room for discrimination. Another strength is that it corrects utilitarianism views, which gives the idea that it's okay for some to suffer as long as a majority are happy. And lastly, some weaknesses with the categorical imperative. The first one, with the universalization principle, is that these are unconditional, with no exceptions. A second weakness would be that it's a little vague when it comes to conflicting duties or actions. Kant never really explains what would happen in this circumstance. Like, is murder for self-defense okay? A final weakness is that not everybody has the same sense of what it is to be good, so universalizing it is a difficult action.